Good evening, everybody. Super Jack One here. I'm back now, and just like at the end of my last video, I'm finally going to do my video discussing, doing a discussion about the director's cut of the 2017 comic book movie, Justice League. We all know Justice League, very divisive. This was the 5th film in the DC Extended Universe, and it hit theaters on November 17th, 2017, and it got very mixed reviews from critics who noted that very change in tone, and the film was a very jumbled mess, and it was a box office flop, a box office bomb. It cost over $300 million to make because of significant reshoots, which I'm going to get into, and the film made like $656 million. And if you have a budget of $300 million, you got to make at least $750 million worldwide in order to break even. So yeah, basically, I'm going to discuss the production of Justice League. I'm just going to jump right into this. I'm also going to be reading some articles from my Chromebook right here, so don't mind if I kind of look over there because I'm looking at the articles to make sure I get my facts straight, so bear with me. So the development of a Justice League film first began in around either September or October, or maybe even November of 2014. And the time it was announced, they said the film was going to be directed by Zack Snyder, who the year before had directed Man of Steel, the first film in the DC Extended Universe. Snyder was also set to direct Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was about to begin filming a couple months later. So anyway, they started developing it. And by the way, I'm just going to be holding my Blu-ray copy just for the heck of it. They said that the script for Justice League, Zack Snyder was going to come up with a story with Chris Terrio, who was then hired to write the script because apparently Warner Brothers was impressed with his script rewrite of Batman vs. Superman. So things were going along. They cast the actors. Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, although he later stepped down, was replaced by someone else. I'll get into that later. And I hope I'm starting to say him right. I keep saying Gal Gadot. She was cast as Wonder Woman, but am I pronouncing her last name wrong? Please, somebody let me know in the comment center. Affleck and Gadot, Batman and Wonder Woman, they debuted in Batman vs. Superman. And also cast were Jason Momoa was cast as Aquaman. Ray Fisher, was that his name? Yeah, Ray Fisher was cast as Cyborg, and Urza Miller was cast as The Flash. Those three actors made brief cameos in Batman vs. Superman. So anyway, basically they were saying how Justice League was initially intended to be a follow-up, just to be like a sequel to Batman vs. Superman. And I'm going to go into spoilers on the movie. How apparently this was Justice League was supposed to be the 5th film of a 5-film arc, which started with Man of Steel, continued in Batman vs. Superman. It was supposed to be continue with this, and then this was actually I believe this was supposed to be like a 2-part movie or something. Anyway, so the problem is there was some Batman vs. Superman. I'm sorry for the stuttering. I'm just trying to think. I don't script these videos because honestly I don't really know what to say ahead of time. So basically, Batman. At the end of Batman vs. Superman, it ended with Superman getting killed, and but the ending gives a little hint / foreshadow of his return, and yeah. So Batman vs. Superman hit movie theaters on March 25th, 2016. Unfortunately, the film received negative reviews from critics, who criticized the dark tone and everything, and the film wasn't as successful as they hoped they would. I mean, it turned a profit. It definitely made back its money because the film made worldwide. The film made $873.6 million, which is very impressive for only just the 2nd film in a series. But the problem is Warner Brothers was expecting the film would make over $1 billion, and but apparently the film was. And also another problem with Batman vs. Superman, there were so many plot holes and stuff like that. So then when the film hit Blu-ray, back in I think July 2016. I don't remember the exact day because for those who've been subscribed to me for years, I got this Blu-ray for my 15th birthday back on July 30th, 2016. And there was a director's cut called the Ultimate Edition that had additional 30 minutes of footage that wasn't seen in theaters. And this version was rated R. And that cut was over 3 hours long. And the film was actually much better. Like it explained a lot of plot holes. And many people noted how if the the Ultimate Edition, if that was the version that was released to theaters, the film would have gotten much better reviews. But so it showed that Zack Snyder had some potential. Warner Brothers, though, was very skeptical now of Justice League, because by the time Batman vs. Superman and the bad reviews came out, Snyder was already signed on and set to direct Justice League, and they already wrote a script and everything. So, and also, because of this dark tone, they wanted to go for more lighter tone. So they did they did some reshoots on Suicide Squad, which opened a couple months after Batman vs. Superman, which that film also made good money at the box office, made more than $600 million. I don't remember the exact name, but $600-something million. And but then also got negative reviews, just like Batman vs. Superman. And by the way, I think those are the Batman vs. Superman. I actually think this is still my least favorite DC Extended Universe movie, but I still enjoyed it though. I actually gave the film a rewatch actually last Friday, along with Man of Steel and Justice League, and I like these a lot more during these rewatches. But this is still I still think this was probably the weakest. But I watched the Ultimate Edition. I'm talking about the theatrical cut. I think is the weakest DC Extended Universe movie. But the Ultimate Edition, I don't know where I'd place that. But just want to let you know that. But I still enjoy it though. So Warner Brothers apparently initially Steppenwolf were going to be the villain in Suicide Squad, controlling Enchantress with the mother boxes. But apparently, who was it? Who was it? We all know the what was it the article said? And apparently Darkseid, I hope I said that right, was supposed to be the primary antagonist in Justice League, but they made a last-minute addition, and Suicide... I don't remember the name of the villain in Suicide Squad, but Steppenwolf was made the villain for Justice League, and apparently Warner Brothers hired John Berg and Geoff Johns to oversee the DC universe, with the first task being to help with Justice League rewrites to make the film more hopeful and optimistic, because apparently Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio were asked to do rewrites on the Justice League script to give the film a more lighter tone and not be as dark as Batman vs. Superman, which was understandable. I understand that. And Batman they apparently also wanted Ben Affleck to help with script rewrites and also serve as executive producer on Justice League, mainly to ensure continuity between this film and the Batman film he was originally supposed to star and direct at the time. Because at the time, he was initially scheduled to star and direct a Batman movie, but we all know he stepped down as director to focus on playing Batman, and Matt Reeves took over as director, and Ben Affleck, we all know, left the role, and Batman is now going to be played by Robert Pattinson, and the Batman movie is currently scheduled to come out, I believe, June 5th, 2021, although they shut down filming because of the coronavirus, but they're going to resume once this whole thing blows over. But, the Enchantress brother in Cubs was put as the villain in Suicide Squad. I apologize for that. And apparently, the original composer Junkie XL, who was later fired and replaced by Danny Elfman, had completed the score for the film before being fired. And then let's see, what else does it say? Apparently, the Snyder Cut was over 214 minutes, which was about 3.5 hours long, while the Assembly Cut was nearly 5 hours long. Basically, the plot of the version that was released was very similar in just Snyder's version, where Batman and Wonder Woman seek out other Metahumans to form a team, and then resurrect Superman and defeat Steppenwolf in a final battle in Russia. However, dozens of additional scenes, backstories, and mythos elements. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Warner's executives, who's basically principal photography for Justice League, started, I believe, June 2016. It was shortly after Batman vs. Superman hit theaters, and principal photography initially ended in December 2016. And Warner Brothers executives who saw Zack Snyder's cut noted that Snyder made significant efforts to lighten the tone following the criticism of the dark tone in Batman vs. Superman. And the original teaser trailer, which was uploaded in like spring 2017, which you can go check out, was pretty much the trailer for Zack Snyder's movie. So everything you saw in that trailer was what Zack Snyder was going to do. But Warner Brothers apparently then saw a rough cut of Justice League, and they considered it to be, quote, unwatchable. So they brought in Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon, for those who know, was the writer and the director of the Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. He had left Marvel after some disputes over Avengers Age of Ultron, and so he decided not to direct Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So instead, the Russo brothers, we all know, directed those two films. And Joss Whedon was brought in to do some script rewrites, lighten up the tone, and add a little bit of humor to it. However, then in March 2017, Zack Snyder's daughter, Autumn, committed suicide. And initially, him and his wife, Deborah was actually a producer on the movie. They initially were going to stay on to the movie just to get through the difficulty. But apparently they decided to step down and spend time with their family. And Joss Whedon was apparently then brought in to also direct reshoots. Now, the reshoots caused some problems with some actors' schedule, most notably Henry Cavill. After, since he played Superman, after Henry Cavill filmed all of his scenes for, I know everybody knows the story, but I'm just going to say it again for those who don't know. After he filmed all his scenes for the original version of Justice League, he went to go film Mission Impossible: The Fallout, which, for that film, he had to grow a mustache for the character he was playing in that film, and they needed him to come back to do reshoots for Justice League, and apparently the director of Mission Impossible: The Fallout, Christopher McQuarrie, he made an agreement. He would allow Henry Cavill to shave the mustache in exchange for Warner Brothers to give him $3 million. The $3 million it would cost to digitally recreate the mustache on Henry Cavill's face. Apparently, Paramount found out about this and refused to let Henry Cavill shave the mustache. So Henry Cavill had to reshoot film the reshoots with the mustache, and then it was digitally removed, which we all know caused problems because it was very noticeable. His mouth looked fake. And then Batman vs. Justice League, like I said, it was released to movie theaters on November 17th, 2017, and got very mixed reviews. Has a 40% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe. Yeah, many people noted, like, the film was a mess. If you watch the film, you all know that Warner Bros. Really lied. Apparently, it said that Joss Whedon would write, when they were doing reshoots, Whedon would write and direct in the same style as Snyder to, so that way there wouldn't be any tonal shifts. Although it said that he fired Junkie XL as the composer and replaced him with Danny Elfman. And let's see, Danny Elfman and but we all know, and apparently Warner Brothers said that Joss Whedon only did like 20%, and that 80% of the movie was Snyder's. We all know, but you could just tell by the tone and everything that Whedon definitely did more. Apparently, according to a recent interview, Zack Snyder's editor, I don't remember his name, said that only 10% of Snyder's version of the movie made it into the release version that people saw in theaters. The other 90% was all Whedon. And then it started this whole trope immediately after the film hit theaters of hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And ever since then, Snyder has been posting pictures and stuff of what his version of the movie was going to be like. And people are still demanding, and I admit, I want to see the Snyder Cut of Justice League. People are wondering, like, apparently Jason Momoa, who plays Aquaman, has been big support. So has Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck. They have all been posting on their social media accounts, hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Personally, Jason Momoa and a couple other people have said they have seen the original version of the Snyder version of Justice League, and they said it was amazing. Like I said, apparently then there's going to be all these hints that Zack Snyder is actually doing reshoots on the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and that could be 214 minutes long. Apparently Warner Brothers wanted the film at a shorter runtime, to 2 minutes, so because of that, the runtime of the release version of Justice League, which I'm holding right now, the runtime is 120 minutes, so the film is exactly 2 hours long. And Henry Cavill knows a big thing. When they were marketing it after the reshoots, Superman was not on any of the marketing. He wasn't in the re-release trailer, and he wasn't even on the original poster for the film, which he found was ridiculous because he was on the press tours and everything. It was kind of similar to what happened with Star Wars The Force Awakens, how when they were releasing The Force Awakens, prior to the release of The Force Awakens, the trailer and all the posters and everything, Luke Skywalker was not on there. but Mark Hamill was on the publicity tours and everything, but there was no merchandise, no footage of Luke Skywalker. And we all know how with Star Wars The Force Awakens, the plot was they were looking for Luke Skywalker, and Luke didn't appear until the very final scene of the movie. That's not the case with Justice League. Superman is resurrected from the dead around, I'd say halfway through the movie, around like right at the beginning of the second half of the movie. Around the beginning of the second half of the movie is when Superman is brought back to life, and he has a good amount of screen time. But for some reason, in the original poster for the film, which you can find online, and mostly on the film's Wikipedia page, Superman wasn't on there. It wasn't until after the film hit theaters that they put him on the marketing material, and then he's on the cover for this Blu-ray, and he's also on the back cover. And, yeah. It was ridiculous. And, I just want to know, like, does the Snyder Cut exist? I believe it does. Because there's some footage and everything, and I want Warner Brothers to release the Snyder Cut. I want to see him. Many people are wondering, like, what would it have been better if they, would the version that Zack Snyder made be better than the version that was eventually released? Because, like I said, the version we got was nothing like the movie Zack Snyder intended to make. Basically, Warner Brothers was just trying to be like the MCU. And that's the thing is, though, I feel like also they jumped too quickly to Justice League, because prior to this, they, before Justice League, the only MCU movies released in order were Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and then this film. Which I think they jumped too quickly. I mean, imagine if it'd be like as if the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies did Iron Man, then Captain America Civil War, and then Avengers Infinity War. Imagine how ridiculous that sounds. I feel like after Man of Steel, they should have done the Batman movie, then they should have done a proper Man of Steel sequel, then they could have done Batman versus Superman, and then they could have done then Wonder Woman, then do Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg, and then do Justice League. That way they build up a bit. That would have been good. And apparently a lot of more changes were made to Justice League in the theatrical. Apparently Lex Luthor had more screen time, because Lex Luthor in the release version, Lex Luthor only appears in a post-credit scene. And Wonder Woman, after the success of her film, since Wonder Woman got critical acclaim, and Wonder Woman is currently my favorite DC Extended Universe movie, but that could change because we all know the sequel's coming out this August. I don't remember what day, but Wonder Woman 1984 we know is coming out this August. And they decided to beef up Wonder Woman's role, because apparently in the Zack Snyder Cut, her role wasn't as big as the release version. And just a couple other things. I don't remember exactly why, but apparently about 90% of the movie was not at all directed by Snyder. But the funny thing is, though, is that they tried to hide it as if it was, because in the opening credits, Joss Whedon only took a director's a screenwriting credit. So the opening credits only say screenplay by Chris Terrio and Joss Whedon, although they did not work together. And then the credit says directed by Zack Snyder. So Zack Snyder is the only director that was credited. But really, most of it was Joss Whedon. And I feel bad. And I feel like also, if you think about it, Zack Snyder was in a tough position. I mean, his daughter committed suicide, and then they thank him their condolences is to just tamper with his movie. Apparently, it said Zack Snyder was actually fired, but according to what some of his friends said, is that that's not the case, is that Snyder was not fired at all. I don't know. Anyway, what do you guys think? Should they release the Snyder Cut? And what are your thoughts on this? I'm interested in knowing. Alright, that's my video for today. That's really all I have to say. I'm just telling you what, and I think the Snyder Cut exists, and they should release it. Come on. Warner Brothers, release the Snyder Cut.